I know what you're thinking. Video 3, I've been at this for 2 days, or maybe like an hour if you're like me and power through all the videos at once, and I've gotten rid of like 5 things. Don't worry, shit's about to get real, y'all. Number 1, adult beverages. Trust me. Options for getting rid of stuff. Sell things. This is great because you get money for it. Downside is it stays in your house for a little longer. So weigh a little bit what is worth selling and what isn't. I highly recommend you post things to your personal Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter or whatever you have, because the more you can sell to friends, the less hassle it usually is. And then you can post on Craigslist, or Facebook has a marketplace now, which is great. Some things you may want to put on Amazon Marketplace or maybe even eBay or Etsy, depending on what kind of stuff it is. Books, DVDs, video games, these are special case items. There's probably a store in your community that sells these items used and also purchases them used. So before you donate those, if you have time, box them up and go check with them, because you might get a reasonable amount for them, as opposed to just recycling them or donating them. Yard sales. Now, some of us, myself included, have a love-hate relationship with yard sales. Depending on where you live or where you have the opportunity to have one, it can be an awesome thing, or it can be just really 3 days of a whole lot of work for $60, which is totally not worth it. So think about where you can have the yard sale and if it's really worth doing. Additionally, a pitfall of I'm gonna have a yard sale is you box or bag all of your shit up and then you put it in your garage where it then lives for 5 more years and you never have the yard sale. So if you're gonna do this thing, set a date, make it happen. If you're not, don't. Or put a date on those boxes, and when that date hits, you take it to the donation bin. Donations. The obvious choices are places like Goodwill or other thrift stores. And some of these charities will come pick up your donations if there's enough to warrant it. Another good choice are veterans outreach programs, homeless shelters, women's and children's programs. Also, if you happen to know anyone who might work with families who have dealt with disasters, floods, fires, that sort of thing. And if you have things that meet their specific needs, that feels very personal to be able to help a family in need. Giving things away. This can be a fantastic tool. Perhaps you have something that you have a really emotional connection to, but you just don't have a place for it or a space for it or a use for it anymore. Think about if you know someone that would cherish that item. If so, give it to them. Also, this can be a really good option for things that you hate to waste, but that you can't really donate. A good example of this is if you do a bathroom clean out and have expensive beauty products that just don't work for you, but maybe they would work for some friends of yours. One last option to get a little bit of cash for things is if you have a lot of metal items. Maybe you've cleaned out a garage or a workshop or have construction materials. There is probably a scrapyard in your area somewhere that will give you pennies per pound for these items. It may not be worthwhile, but if you have a lot of that sort of thing, check into that before you trash it. Recycling. If you can't sell it and can't donate it, this is a really good option versus throwing it away. Things like paper, books, fabric, plastics, all of these sort of things can be recycled. And garbage. There's just gonna be some stuff that you can't get rid of any other way. And maybe you don't have the bandwidth to go down that list and try and get rid of things that way and just jump straight to trash. Particularly if you're dealing with someone else's mess, perhaps a relative who's passed away or something like that. Often your best bet is just to bring in a dumpster and then get rid of it. Have it hauled away. Because the longer it stays around, the bigger risk you have of not getting rid of it. So however you can get it out, do that. Lastly, I'm going to give you a very specific assignment for today. Go through your coat closet. Be brutal. You probably have twice as many coats in there as you need. And there is probably a veterans outreach program or a homeless outreach program in your area that could use those. So do that. Go through those. If you have time, also check your scarves, gloves, that sort of thing as well. This is a very real thing that you can do to help keep someone warm at night. So that's a great place to start.